and the branch snapped in half, obviously. So
you and branches.
Yeah, when I fell, I knocked myself out. I remember waking up in the woods, and I just wake up, I'm on the ground, and I touch the back of my head, and it's all bloody, and I'm like, oh my God, I can see my house through the trees, deep in the woods, and I literally had to crawl out of the woods, finally get up, because I probably gave myself a really bad concussion, and I walk inside. And I tell my mom, blood on my hands and stuff. I go, Mom, I think there's something wrong. So she's get in the car. And we went to, the emergency walk-in hospital or whatever. And I had to get 3 stitches in the back of my head. So
let me ask you, what insurance did your parents have? Just between you and your sister.
I know, seriously. I was relentless. I was just I would play in the woods for hours. Just hours. I loved it. There was no Nintendo or I didn't have really a TV. I was just super adventurous, and I would go in the woods and explore, and I was an explorer from a early age. And I look back on it when I started writing this book, and I said, when the first person asked me to write a book, I said, what do I have to talk about? I'm only 30 years old. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, wow, this is actually interesting. Maybe a lot of this stuff guided me on my course today to what I've become, this paranormal investigator, and, fascination from the paranormal since an early age. And maybe some of these instances have kind of put me a little closer to the other side, with almost possibly dying from my arm and stuff like that. So I look at all that stuff as it's molded me, it's put me on a path, and I think everybody's life has those instances that have guided them in some weird way, Maybe not as extreme in some cases, but for me, everything's always extreme.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a question I was just about to ask was, do you feel that, because a lot of people who have near-death experiences say that it does, for whatever reason, open something to the other side for them. I know John Tenney talks about it. Do you feel that puts you closer? And you just said that maybe it did. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to find that people who do have these near-death experiences, something's more open. Whether you're just more open to the idea that there's something else going on, or if they just all know that you came that close to being one of them.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be, there seems to be that closeness to somebody who's had that experience, and you just mentioned it. So
I think it's very fascinating and interesting. I mean, like I said, I'm a super deep thinker and theorizing and stuff, and I think that's what the purpose of life is what happens if this life is for us who possibly didn't do something right in the first life, and we have to get it right in this life, or else we keep kind of going through that cycle, And I think it's weird because, I could have died. I really could have. What happens if I hit my neck on that fence or rip my arm open or I died in that spot? But obviously I didn't, and obviously there was a purpose for me to keep going on in my life for some sort of reason, and here I am through all the crazy things that I've done. Why haven't I, skating on that thin ice, even in investigations that I've done, stupid stuff, being locked in a morgue or climbing a mine shaft or whatever. It's I'm still here, and it's like people who just walk outside and get hit by a car instantly, and that's it for them. Or a baby that's born into this world and suddenly has cancer or something extremely crazy or rare, and then that's it for that baby. Why is it that we're still here and some other people go quicker and some things happen for certain reasons? I don't know. Yeah. But I think that's what's so deep in this life that we're doing right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We think that too all the time. It's the world wasn't ready for them yet, and that's why. Well, that's not why. I'm wording it improperly, but little kids who get cancer when they're 3-4 years old and die, the world wasn't ready for them yet. Maybe they come back as something else or someone else.
Yeah. Or maybe that was their purpose.
Maybe that was their purpose, because what they're bringing into the world is a cancer that we've never heard of, and research comes out of it, or something like that,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it's helping to save millions of people that we didn't fully understand at that purpose.
Right.
It's weird. I watched that. I love watching movies. I'm a movie fanatic, but there's certain movies that really hit home with me, and Christopher Nolan is just one of the most awesome, like coolest directors, you know, to date right now. And I watched Interstellar last night because I haven't seen it yet. So I got really hooked into it because I love that kind of like wormhole space, you know, beyond our reality and stuff that makes you think. And have you guys seen Interstellar yet? With Matthew
I have not.
McConaughey?
Not yet.
It's, you know, a lot of people, I don't know all the reviews, but I know a lot of people don't like it. Some people do. But I thought it was really deep. The way it's a possibility, not too far-fetched and stuff that, you know, it could actually happen. But I thought it got me thinking big time about, like, different realms, different life, you know, different dimensions and stuff. And what happens if we're just in a dimension on Earth right now that we call Earth, and we categorized everything in the population that we live in, and everything is, like, book savvy, and everything has some sort of rhyme to reason, you know, with we go to work, we do this, that person does that. Some people are a little bit more, you know, a lot of people are independent, and some people are so structured, you know, the 9 to 5 or whatever. And I just think it's interesting, you know, that we're living in a world that's so bizarre to the point that is there more to our life than just us living it?
Right. It's a deep thought. It's very deep. It's something.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go.
Deep thoughts with Nick Groff.
Oh, God.
This should be a radio show. Tune in every Wednesday night.
You got to do like a 10-minute like a tutorial.
We know a great network, by the way. D.T.M. Wicked Radio would love to have Deep Thoughts with Nick Groff on it. I'm just saying.
What were you going to say, Mark?
No, I was going to say it is a deep thought to sit there and you know, what is the purpose or meaning behind it? You know, it's clearly our lives are not meant to go punch a clock.
No,
that's not what we were put on this earth for. It wasn't to go punch a clock and do a job. What is the depth of our life? What's our true meaning that we were put here for? You know, other than to procreate. I mean, okay, you know, that's how population happens. Yeah. Somebody, and then this is going in a weird tangent. I don't know how the hell this has happened, but there was something recently about somebody's quote was that humans are, oh my God, what is it? A bigger pest than any other pest on the planet. Yeah. If you think about it, we destroy and chew and spit out everything that comes in front of us. Yeah. And it's like we're worse than termites.
Yeah, we are.
but we obviously are higher evolved than termites. Yeah. But how different are we really?
We're not more highly evolved than ants, but I mean, if you want to really get into it,
we're a buzzsaw through this planet right now. Yeah. We'll just tear everything down, use it up, spit it out, and who cares what the next generation has? You know, so... Yeah. And I don't know how I got there from that, but, you know.
Hold on. Wait, crickets, no kidding.
No, but there's truth behind it. I mean, we've been barbarians since the day of times, right? When we stepped foot on this, as far back as we know, you know, documents and whatnot, and, you know, Egyptian and all that stuff that we can date back to, that we possibly could have some reasoning behind. We've always been like that, though. But you got to think, you know, in this world that we live in, there's good people and there's bad people, period. Good people and bad people die. So what happens, you know, what happens next? Does that good and bad, you know, once living negative energy, positive energy, whatever, is that inhabiting these locations? And I feel like, yes, I feel like that is a possibility, highly a possibility of what we're making contact with at what we know as haunted locations or places that have phenomena that are more paranormally active, not just a haunting or a typical ghost. And I think that's what's so typecasted now is like everybody thinks, because there's so many ghost shows on TV, I think everyone's just like, it's a ghost, it's a haunting, or whatever. Right. What happens if it's more than a phenomena, like, you know, balls of energy hovering in the atmosphere and suddenly zapping down into a location? And I'm researching a location that does that has all this phenomena revolving around the whole area of the location rather than just the house, because of what the land was, what actually sat on the land, what was there before the time of, you know, this location, and what the era and period of time it is now and was inhabited. So I think there's more to it. There's more layers, and I love, like, the movie The Others, you know, with Nicole Kidman. There's the different layers of spirits and people that are living in the location. They're trying to live hand in hand now in the reality. So it's a possibility that we're just in one dimension, and maybe what we call ghosts is another dimension, but what's the possibility of those people reaching out to us and we're just ghosts? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really weird.
Yeah. Think of some EVPs that you might have gotten over all the years that you investigate. I know we have, where you get an EVP that's like, that's weird.
Yeah,
it sounds like those people just said, come on, let's go. They're not listening. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So, or whatever it is. That's just them doing their thing and we're doing our thing, and we just happen sometimes to go habitate.
Yeah.
And we deal with it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I get blown away by the EVPs that are intelligent, the ones that actually direct response to your questions, especially when they call me by my first name. But it's not just like getting an electronic voice phenomenon where it's just like, Nick. It's the ones that blow me away that's like, Nick, Groff. Like, how the heck is that possible in that moment? You know what I mean? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
So is it something that's communicating with me directly that hears me? But why can't I hear it? You know what I mean? That's what I don't get.
We have a friend who's actually captured your name at Bachelor's Grove before. Your name at Bachelor's Grove. I'll send it to you in an email sometime of the file. It's amazing. It clearly says Nick Groff, clear as day. I'll send it out to you though.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Watch that movie like Interstellar. I know it's a little far-fetched, but seriously, it's like, I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but it's something similar I've been thinking about. What happens if it's like this notion of me in the past where it's like that energy, whatever, that I put out there, and now here it is that something's either A, mimicking me, calling out to me, it's a real spirit, or if it's something beyond that, like in the future where it is me. I don't know. It's weird. You know what I mean? That's the type of stuff that you have to question as an investigator. You can't just be one-sided and you know, roll everything off to be reasonable explanation. I mean, some stuff can be scientifically proven. I mean, a lot of scientists say everything can be proven, but I beg to differ big time. I think science doesn't know everything.
Yeah. Well, that's science. You know, if they can't prove it, then it's not real.
Yeah.
So. Well, I mean, I can't prove the whole thing. If scientists will tell you, if a ghost isn't here, sitting in this chair, right here in the same spot every single day at 5 p.m., then it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly. And we'll tell them otherwise.
How come years ago we said, oh, we'll never go to the moon, but all of a sudden we're on the moon, you know? And all of a sudden we're landing on comets. We want to. Yeah. Now they're talking about like penetrating a wormhole in the galaxy, you know, putting a spaceship through it. So it's like,
I would not be signing up for that adventure.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
So somehow we run out of
moon.
Time. somehow we had so much more to talk about. We run out of time.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy. You have a family. You're a family man first before anything else, and you know, go spend the time with your daughters. Have a great night. Yeah. We appreciate that you came on. How can people find you before you run away and are gone forever? How can people get you on the social media thing?
If you can pretty much Google my name. I guess is the easiest. Nick Groff. But you can go to Nick Groff main page is my Facebook page. I check all my posts, emails, and I try to keep up. I keep up on the emails on that page. But also you can go to Nick Groff Tour on our Facebook. My Twitter is at Nick Groff _. So those are kind of like my big ones that I go on and post, and I reply to everybody, and I run all my own stuff. So I try to keep up with the social media as best as I can.
Yeah. It can't be easy.
Scott Grunwald, a dear friend of ours, sang a song once and mentioned your name in it and said that you answer every message, even the shitty ones. So
that's awesome. Hey man, there's never a bad question. Is how I put it.
Nick,
thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. We appreciate it, man.
We really do appreciate it. Hey, stay away from branches, okay? Yeah. No more of that.
Yeah, I definitely will. I learned my lesson the first 2 times. All right, take care, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you
really
so much,
appreciate
Nick.
it. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye-bye. That was Nick.
So once again, I could go on for hours. I have so many more questions.
Exactly. We talked about Nick Groff Tour and
for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, and then dabbled in a couple things.
Awesome. He's an awesome guy. He's really so personable and so friendly and so fun.
Mm-hmm.
so intelligible.
Yeah. What you heard is what you get.
Yeah,
That's Nick.
That's Nick.
And he's absolutely 100% right.